friends, I'm Stephanie Hansen. Let's go! I've been cooking, eating, and talking about it for years.
This is amazingly good.
Now I'm inviting you along for the ride. Stanley! It's the bomb.
Something you cannot live without.
Meet the chefs, home cooks, restaurateurs, and bakers honing their craft.
Everything is going to blow your taste buds up.
And try new recipes with me in my kitchen. It's simple, it's easy, that looks amazing. There's always something delicious to share. These buds got a taste! These buds got a taste! Let's go! This is Taste Buds. Hey Taste Buds! It is soup season! I love soup so much. Anybody that knows me would call me the soup queen because I'm either making soup for people or making soup for myself or trying to find ways to eat all the copious amounts of soup I have. But first, before we make soup at my house, we were at Krewe with my friend Mateo Mackbee in St. Joseph, Minnesota. We drove up here because I'm telling you, his gumbo is the best gumbo you're gonna have outside of New Orleans. And I'm crazy about his red beans and rice. I want to learn all the tricks about how he's making gumbo, how he's making red beans and rice, trying to impact my own soup style. Are you ready, Taste Buds? Let's go. Hey Taste Buds, it is time for soup, and I have come to St. Joseph, Minnesota to see my friend Mateo Mackbee. I met you when you were a line cook in St. Paul. I remember you talking about your vision, about like how you wanted to have a farm to table farm and your own restaurant and how you wanted to grow your own produce. And this was like 15 years ago.
It was 15 years ago.
Yeah, early on in the day when that was just starting to come into vogue, believe it or not. How is it to be in St. Joseph? Are you loving it?
St. Joseph's awesome. It is become a model city for the state of Minnesota on how a rural community can thrive. And so we are just very happy to be a part of all of that. We came here not knowing anything, but we knew what kind of food we could do. We knew the kind of people that we wanted to have work for us. We knew the environment that we wanted to create inside of here. And so we just went for it, and we haven't looked back.
And the we in this equation is Erin.
Erin Ray, yes.
And Erin has, do you want to describe her?
Sure.
She's got a bakery right behind this building.
Yep, so we're both living our dreams. My dream was always to open a restaurant based off my mother's side of the family's heritage coming out of New Orleans, and she always wanted to have a bakery / flower shop, coffee shop. So Flower and Flower is just outside the back door here, about 100 feet. Pastry, laminated pastries, pie, bread, coffee, grab and go, salads, all that kind of stuff like that.
All right, so we're gonna find out a little bit about your gumbo. We're gonna talk about your red beans and rice, because I know there's a story there.
There is.
Can I ever learn how to do it as good as you?
Yes, absolutely, I can teach you.
All right, let's do it.
Now.
I love your industrial pan.
Yeah, so this is our big rondo. We're gonna get it hot, a little neutral oil, and we're gonna render down some of this beef fat, and so we're gonna slowly add the meats.
Yes.
Start out with some beef. This is ribeye.
Okay.
Typically, this is a little more luxurious than what you normally would use. Let's start off with just a little bit of Creole seasoning. We use Tony C's. I think it's the most balanced.
Yep.
Has the right amount of Minnesota heat.
Is it spicy?
Yes.
How many times a week do you have to make this?
Usually 3, sometimes 4. This will come out to be 16 to 18 quarts.
I already wouldn't have thought that your gumbo would have beef in it, so I'm already behind the game.
Yeah, my grandfather, the 3 main recipes, we call them our big 3, is the gumbo, jambalaya, red beans, are all approaching 100 years old. He was a chef on a cargo ship that would leave from the port of New Orleans. When he retired, he couldn't cook for less than 25 people. He just didn't physically know how to do it.
That's amazing.
So there was always food, and they knew it. So we'll take it usually right about to here, where you've got, a lot of it's got some browning.
Yep.
Getting a little bit of that.
Yes.
Then you go with the sausage next. I found that Johnsonville makes a really good consistent smoked sausage. We're just gonna kind of sweat some of those spices out of there is what we really want. So chicken breast, yep. We brine every single piece of our chicken. This has been a minimum of probably 8 to 12 hours in a salt, garlic, black peppercorn, bay leaf brine. We got some onions. We're gonna sweat these guys down with some celery.
Do you think gumbos are like super personals to
Absolutely.
like family recipes?
Every single
and
one
yeah.
will be different. Yeah. And people come in sometimes and look at this one and they're like, gumbo, that's not how the gumbo that I remember. And that's that. And I'm like, yeah, this is a Creole, it's a city. This is the refined, wealthy Frenchman
City
version.
gumbo
Yeah.
versus the country gumbo.
Growing up and watching them make this, my grandfather figured out how to substitute basil for your sweetness
I knew there were secrets.
instead of.
I just knew it because I cannot make this and I want to.
So we're gonna add
Bay leaves.
a few bay leaves. So sweating down that celery and onion.
Sweating.
Yep, sweating. What I look for is it turns to really bright green. It's not where you'd want it where you're gonna eat it, but it definitely is at a point to where you can kind of squeeze it in your hands. And so that's what I look for.
Okay, we know this is
our basil.
Adding sweetness. I can already smell it. It smells delicious.
Gumbo filet. So this is gonna add your thickener. So traditionally the word gumbo, it is in West African terms, it is okra.
Okay.
Okra was always used as a thickener. And so in substitute of okra, the Native Americans in Louisiana brought the ground sassafras root as a thickener. So each time I'm adding anything, I'm just gonna give it a little second to do its thing, attach, give off whatever oils, flavorings in there without trying to overpower. I'm also looking for the amount of liquid that's being given off by the vegetables. Celery is going to be about 80% water. Onions are about 60% water. You get a little bit of moisture off of the beef, a little bit of moisture off the chicken. So we're trying to basically, through heat and then salt, extract that liquid to...
Which would condense the flavor once the water's out.
Correct. So we'll add a little roux flour to it.
Is there such a thing as roux flour?
There is.
Okay.
So this is regular flour, AP flour. Put your oven at 200 degrees and just let it go until all the moisture is gone.
Okay.
So you've created this, you can put it in a jar and save it for a year. Anytime you'd want to put roux into something, you add this. So what I look for is just a little stickiness on everything. You can kind of see now everything is kind of grabbing on.
Yep.
This is chicken stock that we'll add. We make all of our own chicken stock.
It's beautiful.
Got a little bit deeper, darker flavor. So we just kind of get it going. We'll let it go for a minute.
All right. Meanwhile, back at the red bean cauldron, there is like a giant piece of porky something that kind of rears its bony shank every now and then.
I'm gonna give you another secret. It's a smoked turkey leg.
It's a turkey leg. I think I knew this about you.
So two things for us. Turkey leg's gonna break down faster than the ham hock. And then also with the Muslim population around here, Somali population around here, they can eat red beans. Super sensitive to the community too. Love it. So we'll do a smoked turkey version only, and then we'll do one with ham and do sausages.
Okay. All right. Good sexy shot there, chef. We've given it about 10 more minutes.
Yep. We're just checking, mostly for consistency. There you go.
So excited.
You felt it go down. Yeah, you felt it go down, and that's where. Yeah, that's what you want. That is that feeling that we look for, and I try to teach.
I got your feeling.
It's still in them. Yeah, as they're tasting it, it should kind of make you double over a little bit.
I liked it. We got the gumbo. We've got a smaller pot because now it's like made to order, right?
Correct. Yeah, cook everything to order. Shrimp is to order. How I would eat it, I've never given this secret out because it's you. I'm going to tell you. 2 pieces of the worst Wonder Bread that you could ever find, slathered with butter, and then you dip that into the red beans.
Okay. The worst Wonder Bread.
The most magical. It's like my childhood.
Red beans, gumbo.
Should we plate it up?
Yes. Red beans, gumbo.
Should we plate it up?
Yes.
Okay.
That's the red beans and rice.
So we only use camellia red beans.
This will be the gumbo. Okay, so you laid the crab down.
Yep.
Now
laid the crab down. We're just gonna let the gumbo broth take care of warming that crab up.
We added some seafood to give that flavor.
Yep.
And then we're using our base that we cooked.
Yep.
Chicken, sausage, crab, shrimp. No wonder I like it. It's got all the things.
It does have all the things. That is Grandpa's gumbo.
Grandpa. All right, I can't wait. Let's go eat. So we've got our gumbo here, our red beans and rice.
This is my childhood bites.
This is the move. I'm gonna do it too.
Yeah, you have to.
Okay, the butter, the bread. Look at all that just meaty, yummy deliciousness.
Oh, you got a piece of
Okay,
sausage,
ready?
a little turkey. Yeah, here we go. I love
That's a
it.
good childhood bite.
It is. I can picture myself sitting there, folding the bread in half, and just dipping it.
So starting with the gumbo, I've got ribeye, I've got chicken. I have a little crab that I can see. I get a little rice. Not spicy,
No,
like salty, savory.
a little sweet.
I'm surprised how much sweetness is coming from the basil.
The basil, the chicken broth is going to give you a little bit of sweetness.
I am like blown away, always by your food, but also you're just like a really nice person, and
Yeah.
that you're just doing this work that you were meant to do.
You are right.
Who knew that such a small town would be so welcoming?
Not me.
Why did you pick here?
We didn't. It picked us. I think the town was ready for something different. The area was ready for something different. You know, we happened to be here at the right time and provide a quality product, consistent, make a hospitable place for people
Yeah.
to come into.
Well, I gotta tell you, friend, I feel like this lifestyle is working for you. It's fun, you've got your own place, you're cooking your food in exactly the way that you want. Thanks for having us, Taste
You're
Bud.
welcome.
Oh, I'm so full. You guys, this was a great day with my friend Mateo at Krewe. The red beans and rice were everything I knew they were going to be. And to learn how to make that special gumbo was a highlight. All right, now we're going to my house because I'm gonna make you two of my favorite soups. I've got the beer cheese and the wild rice, soda style, putting them together. And then we're gonna make a white bean chicken chili with a Verde sauce, which is just green salsa that I use from my garden. But I'm gonna show you everything that I do in this soup episode because we're making soup! Hello, Taste Buds. We are back at my house, and you may or may not know that I am the soup queen. I probably have right now 30 mason jars full of soup in my freezer. It might be a problem, but in the wintertime in Minnesota, everybody loves soup. So today we're gonna make my chicken chili. We're gonna use salsa, and we're gonna use, instead of tomatoes, tomatillos, which are actually green tomatoes. So we're gonna start with a couple tablespoons of olive oil. I cut the chicken pieces into about 1-inch pieces, and I'm just gonna get them cooked for about 5 minutes. We don't necessarily need to cook it all the way through. I just wanna cook it to give it some color. This looks like an experiment, I know, but inside is chicken broth that I have made with my vegetable scraps. I will show you. This is always in my freezer. It's an extra large Ziploc bag full of vegetable scraps. And when we have chicken, I put chicken bones in there. And when we have vegetables and I'm cutting them, I put the vegetables in there. And I always have this in my freezer. And when the bag gets full, I dump it into my Instant Pot with water and I make chicken stock. So I always have stock for things like pasta, risotto, soups, but having a stock bag is really great. Okay, Taste Buds, now we are going to start adding our other vegetables. So we've got a cup of onion. You can use white or yellow, whatever feels good. A half a cup of diced celery. I always like celery in soup. I think it's just good filler. A whole poblano. Did you know I think it's every third or fifth one is hot. So sometimes you get a hot poblano pepper, but we're gonna go ahead and just use this one diced. Then I have a half a cup of green pepper. I'm not gonna lie, it's not my favorite, but I had it from my farm share and I had it frozen, chopped up, just waiting for this soup. I also am gonna use yellow squash. Now the recipe calls for zucchini, so a quick hack is that zucchini and yellow squash are basically the same thing. There's just one's yellow, one's green. Also, 1 jalapeno. Now you may or may not know that the heat of the jalapeno is in the seeds and what they call the ribs, the fibrous part on the inside of the pepper. So if you don't want it super hot, you can take that out. Now I'm gonna show you a couple different things with tomatillos. I happen to have these fresh from my garden and I've been looking for an opportunity to use them. I cut them into quarters. They're just like tomatoes, but they're a little limey kind of tasting and they don't have as much fiber inside. So that is about a cup. And now we're gonna add a little bit of seasoning. I have 1 whole clove of garlic. I also have 2 teaspoons of chili powder. I have about 2 teaspoons of salt. I've got a tablespoon actually of cumin and some pepper. And soup is so forgiving. If you're like extra on some spice, fine. If you don't like cumin, don't use it. If you don't like chili powder, use something else. I mean, honestly, soup is like your adventure, your journey. All right, so we've got all of our ingredients in there, all of our seasonings, and we're just letting it cook. A few more things. We have 1 cup of green salsa. Then we're going to add about 6 cups of chicken broth. Again, I make my own. Each of these containers has about 4 cups. So I'm gonna go ahead and put in 4 cups. And then I've got another container to give us 2 more cups. So that's 6 cups of broth. About halfway in, I'm gonna add some white beans. So you can see this is a white chili, but it's actually technically green. So we're gonna let this soup simmer for 30 minutes on my stove. All right, friends, our white bean chicken chili is pretty much done. It's been simmering for about 30 minutes. The chicken is all cooked through. I'm gonna finish it up by adding 2 cans of white beans. And you can use cannellini beans. These are just like white little navy beans, whatever beans you like. If I'm making a vegetable soup or even a soup with meat, I always tend to put beans in it just because I like them. That is it. Now, if you want a little creamier version, here's a little tip for you. You could just pop an immersion blender in here for just a zh, 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 and it would give it just a little creamier consistency. I kind of like a chunky soup. And what I think is the best thing about white bean chili soup is the toppings. These are tortilla strips that I made. I literally just cut corn tortillas from the grocery store into little strips, and I tossed them with a little olive oil, and I baked them at 350 degrees until they got crispy. So I'm just gonna put a little dollop of sour cream. I'm gonna put a little cilantro because I like cilantro. If the people in your family don't love it, I get it. You do you. And then I just like to put a little of these toasties on the top. And we are ready for tasting. Yum. I love this so much. The acid and the liminess of the tomatillo really brings this soup to the next level. I do love the garnishing with the sour cream because that gives it kind of that creamy hit. Chicken, white beans, giving it a little bit of texture. And we've got a lot of veggies in here. We've got the poblano, we've got the green peppers, and we've got the heat of the jalapeno. Nothing not to like about white bean chicken chili. Okay, taste buds, we're gonna make my beer cheese wild rice. I know, beer cheese, wild rice, yum. I'm adding just about a tablespoon of olive oil, and I've got 8 pieces of bacon that I've cut into little like 1/2-inch pieces, and we're just gonna brown those up. I decided to experiment with beer cheese soup a little bit and go from just the traditional soup to adding some other flavors, like some bacon, like some wild rice. And I really adore this recipe. This is like my perfect day. I love in the winter to just make soup. Sometimes my husband will watch a football game and I'll just be happy as a clam in the kitchen making my favorite soups. All right, let's just set this bacon aside. I'm gonna drain it. We're gonna go ahead and get started making the rest of our soup. We're gonna start with about 2 tablespoons of butter. We're gonna use 1/2 cup of onions, and I used about 1.5 cups of mushrooms. We also have a little bit of garlic at this point. We've got about a clove I'm gonna add. The rest of the butter, which is 6 tablespoons, I'm using a whole stick. I know, it's a lot. And then what I'm gonna do is I have 1 cup of flour, and I'm gonna pour this flour over all these vegetables. And what I'm doing is I'm making what is called a roux. And the roux is what is the basis for a lot of cream soups. You're cooking the floury taste out of the flour, and you're just leaving behind what will become the basis for this soup. It's what gives it its creamy consistency. I know this does not look very appetizing as we go. but it will get better, I promise. At this point, I'm gonna add about a cup of broth. And what I'm trying to do is incorporate the floury paste that I've made, scraping up the brown bits on the bottom of my pan. By the time we're done, we'll have added 6 cups of broth to the soup. You can see how it's starting to look a little more like gravy. We're gonna add a cup of beer. What we are using today is a dark ale. It's actually a non-alcoholic ale, and I like to actually cook with it. So you can see it's got a super nice dark color. I'm also gonna add 3 tablespoons of Worcestershire sauce, some salt, some pep, and the main flavoring agent, hot mustard or just powdered mustard. So we're just gonna get all this incorporated. But you can see how we're kind of getting a nice texture, just letting all these flavors kind of come together and mingle. All right, so we have been cooking this slurry for about 15 minutes, and it's time to add the rest of our soup ingredients. Now, I cooked my own wild rice. I like to cook it in the Instant Pot. This is a cup of dried rice, and it gives you about 2 cups of rice, which is perfect for this dish. But I also want to encourage you, this is also fine if you want to use a canned wild rice. Your soup will still be super delicious. I'm going to add a 1/2 cup of sour cream. This is just giving us a little bit more creamy texture, creamy flavor. You'll notice when you first stir it in, it looks a little curdled, but that will all come together when you get your cheese and it has a little time to meld. So at this point, I'm gonna add our bacon that we cooked off and degreased. Hello, bacon. 5 shots of Tabasco. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, just to kind of balance out the intensity of the cheese. We've got our wild rice. 1 cup dry gives us a lot of cooked. And then we're gonna add our cheese. I've got 4 cups of a sharp cheddar cheese. Oh, that looks so good already. It's a really thick, hearty, cheesy soup. Look at that. Delicious. Cheesy, pleasy, so easy. Okay, it is the moment to eat my bacon, beer cheese, wild rice soup. I did pop popcorn. How pretty does that look? Okay, here we go, taste buds. So good. The earthiness of the mushrooms, the chewy, salty bacon, the wild rice that really gives it a nice texture. Definitely can taste the ale that I used and the sharp cheddar cheese. Really nice complement. The popcorn gives it a nice texture. This is my favorite soup. Beer cheese all the way. All right, taste buds. I love sharing my love of soup because it's so fun. It's a great dinner. You can just pair it with breads or salads. It's easy. And if you can have the red beans and rice like Mateo and Erin make at their restaurant, all the better. We'll see you next time, taste buds. In the meantime, stay warm.
Soup.